Hey everybody, my name's David,
And I am Dylan.
and collectively, we're the Wet Rats.
Mm-hmm.
This is our YouTube channel.
He's the wet, I'm the rat. Oh wait, no one.
No, I'm the rat.
Okay, good. I wanna
Yeah,
be the rat.
okay,
Wet sounds
cool.
way better.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd rather be the rat than
Oh,
the
man.
wet.
I'm wet.
So, if you're not familiar with our YouTube channel, we do comedy sketches, we do video game and film analysis, it's that kind of thing, all kinds of stuff. So subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. Today, we're talking about a video game, Silent Hill 2.
The silenter.
Silent Harder. Silent Hiller.
Silent Hill.
So Silent Hill 2 is one of my favorite video games of all time. Maybe my favorite video game of all time. I've played through it a ton of times.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan, you just played through it for the first time.
And only time.
And only time. So we're gonna get some, expert knowledge and some amateur knowledge on this casting couch today.
I don't want to be wet and on the casting couch. No thanks.
You may notice we have a Halloween decoration where we're on the set of our 13 Days of Halloween movie extravaganza. We're also wearing the same clothes from that, but we're watching 13 scary movies.
We're exposing all of our tropes to you right now.
Exactly, 13 scary movies in 13 days and discussing them. So if you want to see some of that, check that out. But today we're talking about the video game Silent Hill 2. We chose to do this as just a discussion video rather than like a let's play or whatever, because I know a lot of other people have done that in the last couple of years. I don't think we needed another one where you're watching us for like 50 parts try to struggle through Silent Hill, because I've watched some Let's Plays and they were cool to watch. No offense to the Let's Play community on that one, but it is like a puzzle game where you're running around. And I don't know about you, but personally, if I'm recording myself and I'm trying to do puzzles, that doesn't work for me, because then like I always have that conscious thing in my mind where I'm going like, this is for the audience, and I'm just running around in a room over and over.
I actually want to talk about that. I guess we can talk about it now.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things I absolutely hate is I hate having people watch me play video games. But David played this game, and of course we live together. He's going to watch me play this game. I hate that because anytime I do something, and especially in a puzzle game, I will get 10 times more angry because I feel like I'm looking really, really dumb.
Right.
And it's one of those things too, is where it's just like, I feel like I can't do things I normally do because I feel like I just anticipate someone watching me. Like, I like to explore games a lot like that, and sometimes I felt like it was almost on a time-sensitive scale where it's like, I want to go do this, but at the same time I don't want David to be like, what are you doing?
Right.
Where are you going? What are you doing?
Right. And
So,
I feel like when you do that as like a Let's Play, it's even worse.
It's even worse,
You're
exactly.
not just thinking about one person watching you, you're thinking about
think of
all the
lots of
people that might be watching this.
I'd be like,
Because
what
we
is he
get
doing?
millions of views, so clearly a lot of people are going to watch our stuff.
Exactly. So yeah, that definitely was made it harder to.
So you think that detracted from your experience with Silent Hill 2?
I don't say it detracted from it per se. Because I think once I got the hang of it, it wasn't as big of a deal. Once I got it.
Right.
I will say, like, I hated playing it in the beginning. Because I didn't get the controls yet. I had that whole thing of, like, someone's watching me play who was definitely played the game before and knows what's going on. And I'm feeling, like, really stupid when I can't figure something out.
Right.
So with the beginning of it, like, in the apartment I got, did not like it. I was, like, not into it at all. But as soon as I got out of the apartments and into the hospital's the next one, right?
Yeah.
Fucking loved it. Like, I thought the hospital was awesome. It really, really got me into the game hardcore. Like, it got to the point where, like, because when we started playing apartments, there's a couple days between time we didn't play.
Right.
But as soon as I got in the hospital, like, I wanted to play again the next fucking day. Like, I couldn't wait to play it again.
Right.
Like,
And I think that part of that's because, too, like, the way the game's structured, the apartment is sort of a puzzle tutorial.
Right.
Like, you already go through the game, you learn kind of combat, but then in terms of, like, learning how to, like, go through rooms and solve puzzles, which is a big part of the game because it's, an adventure game, essentially.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, like, going back into this room, going back into this room, and the hotel's a little slow because if you have never done the hotel before, it's kind of just the easy version of that. There's not really any surprises to it. There's not really, like, any elements that are, like, a fun puzzle. It's kind of just like, oh, okay, move the clock hands here.
Yeah.
And then push the clock over.
It just seemed like you can't go into a lot of the rooms in the apartment place. And a lot of it just seems kind of bland. Because, like, the thing you unlock is, okay, cool, now you get to the next part, which is
another apartment building.
So
yeah,
it's just kind of like, okay, I get it.
Right.
I'm also thought I was going to be in the hotel. I guess I didn't realize there's other levels. So part of me thought I'm going to be spending almost this entire game in this apartment. I don't know that. So it's just I was like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, am I going to get to this door and there's going to be a third apartment building?
As soon as like you said, that's it for the apartments, I'm like, fucking thank God. I'm so sick of this shit.
Yeah, and the apartment also obviously is meant to introduce a few characters.
Yes, yeah, of course.
That's where we meet Eddie. That's where you kind of meet Laura. You see her; she kicks a key away and runs.
Yeah.
And you get a little bit more from Angela there. But then I think the game opens up more after the apartments because you meet Maria.
Yes.
And that's where I think the story gets a lot more compelling and interesting. Because before that, it's kind of like you're meeting these people. Like, you meet Eddie, but he's just some dude who throws up in a toilet.
Right.
I don't give a shit. You know, like, Eddie becomes a character maybe that's more interesting later, but the first time you meet him, it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
And there's some little dumb girl that's, like, kicking stuff away.
Right.
Fuck that little girl. You know, like, later she might become more interesting.
Right.
But in that scene where you meet some of those characters, it's kind of whatever.
And I kind of forgot, too, till, like, you were doing the real quick thing, that your main point in the beginning was you're trying to get to those gardens. So then it kind of makes sense, like, okay, cool, you're out of the apartment, you're to the gardens. But then it's just like, you see someone there who looks like your wife, but is not your wife. It's totally someone else. So it's like, okay, this is where it gets like really kind of interesting stuff.
Yeah,
like,
that's where it starts to become more of like a full story,
Yes.
like something you would see in a movie, and you're like, I gotta know more about these characters.
Exactly,
Like, what the fuck does this mean? Why are you here? Because before, you know, it's a little interesting when it starts out because it's like, my wife's dead, but I have to find her. Cool, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But then after a while, it's kind of like, all right, I get it. I'm just looking for this thing, you know. And then you find her, but it's not her; it's someone else. It's like, okay, what's that about?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's going on here? Is this my wife who cut her hair and put on different clothes and a little big
Yeah, we made fun of this, but I do like when he meets Maria and he's like, "You could be my wife's twin, except for your hair and clothes." Hey, according to you, James, it's been 3 years. I don't know. That shit can change.
You were like saying you see two. Let's take the Olsen twins. They have different haircuts and are wearing different clothes. According to James, they're not twins.
Right.
Because he's just like, you guys could be twins if you had the same hair. Okay, James.
Yeah, but
James is an idiot, by the way. That's what general consensus of James. James is a fucking idiot.
I guess to be fair, they don't ever promote James as like particularly clever. Like, he's not supposed to be like a badass. It's like Resident Evil, where he's like, this is an elite member of STARS. He's just some dude who came to this town.
I think for the most part, they try and make James almost seem like almost pretty ignorant on most things.
Right.
Which I think plays a lot of humor in it too. Of course,
yeah.
I did see a little bit of the voice acting. I think that kind of changes it a little bit because it gives a little bit more serious tone.
Right.
So maybe I'm thinking that because the voice acting in the original was really...
Yeah, the voice acting in the original isn't great.
No.
But it almost, you know, it sort of adds like a campy element to it.
Yeah.
That sort of, and it's also like, it really drives in like, this is an early PS2 game.
Yeah.
You know, in a way that you don't get now. So
I've even had like playing games with really good voice acting because I'm used to it so like that.
Right.
I didn't bother me ever. I was
right. Yeah. The original voice acting doesn't bother me. There's a couple lines that are maybe a little like, all right.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it doesn't really bother me.
That's fine.
But I do like the new voice acting as well. I know we're going to talk about the HD collection in a bit. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy, a lot of criticism. We're going to talk obviously about that. But as far as the voice acting goes, that's not my problem with the HD collection. That's fine with me. Because you do include the original and the new one.
Which is
for Silent Hill 2.
That's awesome.
I know with Silent Hill 3 that's not the case. That's its own thing. But with Silent Hill 2 you get both options, so you know, whichever one you like. So to me that's just a cool thing. And I know people are going to say like, well, originally they weren't going to include the original. I know, but they did. And it's there, and it's the option if you do play the HD collection. But anyways, I should say you were saying you had some trouble with the controls. Just to clarify for anybody out there, we didn't play with tank controls.
No.
I don't ever play with tank controls. I can't do them. Maybe if I would, because as a kid I didn't play Resident Evil, and I didn't play the original Silent Hill. You know, I didn't play any of that stuff as a kid. I played those as an adult when I could change to 3D controls instead of the tank controls. I've just never been able to wrap my head around those. They don't make sense to me, so yeah, I have to turn those off. And if the game only has that as an option, probably not going to play that game.
And I won't even say me having a hard time with controls is necessarily that the controls are bad for that game.
Mm-hmm.
I just suck at controls in general. Like, it took me so many playthroughs on the new Metal Gear game just to use those controls. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just forget the controls all the fucking
Well, and also this is a game, being an early PS2 game, this is something we don't really have anymore, but this is a game that never tells you things. It doesn't tell you, push this button to attack. Right. It doesn't tell you, like, this is your menu and this is your map. It doesn't tell you any of that. But the game is totally free of a HUD or little pop-up things. Like, if you pause, you can see, like, your health and your items and stuff, but there's nothing on the screen
I totally didn't
ever.
Think about that.
Yeah, which I think is cool.
Really
and also, you know, it makes them be creative, because it's like, well, we're not going to give the players a radar, so how do we let them know that monsters are nearby? Well, what if we have this radio that makes static noise? Which, to be fair, that's in the original Silent Hill as well. But, you know, back when they were doing that game, they made that choice, too, of, like, we're not going to have, like, the dumb radar thing or whatever. Like, this, instead they invented this cool radio thing where it does the static, which is great and super iconic and super unique to the Silent Hill games.
None of the monsters are, like, super fast to where you're like, okay, now I need to, like, real quickly look around and see what we find. I mean,
Right.
I mean,
in this one, actually, the first Silent Hill.
Oh, they're really fast? Okay.
There are some. There's like dogs that chase after you and these
yeah.
big bats that fly around. But Silent Hill 2 took a different approach. Silent Hill 2 is not meant to be like, honestly, super difficult. It's pretty easy. There's never really an enemy you encounter that's like, oh shit, this thing. There's not a lot of enemy variety. It's kind of like, okay, another one of the straitjacket flesh things. Oh, another one of the double leg things. You're not really meant to feel necessarily threatened, I think, because you're meant to want to explore this world. And I think, when a game has too much, you don't want to explore as much.
Right.
Like, PT was great. And obviously, there's a party that keeps wanting to go. But if, like, PT was set in a whole city, are you going to go in every building?
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, I might because I'm a little sadistic when it comes to horror games.
Right.
I like to, be tortured by horrifying stuff. But most people are going to skip, half the game. And I think Silent Hill 2 wanted people to really explore.
I mean, because I check every single door. For, one or two reasons. Either one, it opens up and I get to see something cool in there, or it's go on my map, and from now on I know I can never go in there.
Right, exactly. And I always checked every door, too. Our battery's going to die. Hang on. All right, sorry, everybody. We had to change batteries there. What were we talking about? Just the exploring nature of the game.
Yeah.
I watched, I did this a while ago, so maybe my facts aren't as current, but I did watch, a documentary they made about how they, made the game.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, I think it's on YouTube, actually. Probably should have watched that before we did this, but my bad. But they talk about how, when they designed stuff, they really wanted to make it, kind of have, somewhat of a realistic feel. This could be an abandoned hospital you would find. But they wanted to have this thing of, in a way, everything looks creepy, but not so creepy you don't want to go. Creepy in the way that draws you in and makes you want to go in every door and go in every room. I think they nailed that.
Yeah,
Because, again, you didn't even know all that going into it, and you still tried to explore every single room. And when I first played it, I did the same thing. I think they really nailed that.
They have probably one of the best map systems in, a video game ever. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Anytime something happens, they'll circle it, they'll mark it, they'll cross things off. That's amazing.
Yes.
It makes backtracking a lot less of a hassle.
Yeah, the map is great. Because, there are a lot of doors you can't go through, or maybe they're temporarily locked. And I like that the game lets you know on your map, or if there's something important, you'll circle that important thing, and you know that's where I need to go. Silent Hill series does maps better than any other game that uses maps really. Because even we were, this is a little bit of tangent, but we were talking about the new Metal Gear. The new Metal Gear is great, of course, but a lot of times I struggle with the map just because it's I need to go over there. It looks like there's a hill in the way, but I can't tell on this map because the way it's laid out. And obviously that's a very different kind of game, so you're gonna have a different kind of map. But I love the way it totally nails here's where you can go, and even if the road is out, it'll cross off that road, and you can't go down it.
And for the most part, in the puzzles, it's not too difficult to kind of figure out what you want to do, even if you can't. Because sometimes you can't even see it, like the clock one, for example. Not the clock one, the music one. You do in the hotel.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even notice when I first did it there was different slots there.
Right.
It took me a couple times, oh okay, because I thought I had to put the right one in. I didn't realize different ones. So even then, I was okay, you can kind of generally get it picked out really quickly. It does this weird thing where it's it only takes you a second to be okay, I get it. So the limitations of its graphics and camera angles doesn't really, I think, affect it too much.
Right. Yeah, I think it holds up really well. It is a little bit more of a video game, and what I mean by that is what we were saying, it doesn't spoon feed you stuff. It's not here's how to do this, here's how you solve puzzles, here's how combat works. It never does that. That's up to you as the player to figure out. But it's also not too hard to figure out.
At the same time, it almost does the whole Mega Man thing where it teaches you how to play the game kind of while you're playing it, without spoon feeding you.
Right.
Hit A to do this.
Exactly. Another thing too is that I like is it has, I guess for lack of a better term, this is what I've always referred to as Metal Gear moments. And what I mean by that is and not that Metal Gear is the only franchise that does this. A lot of stuff does this, but a moment in the game where the path to move forward is not at all clear. You're not sure what to do. And what I mean is in Metal Gear, the Psycho Mantis fight where it's what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Right.
He reads all my attacks, and you have to plug your controller into the next port. It's little things like that are so specific and weird. And this one, there's a part where you jump into a well, and it's just what?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? I'm in a fucking well. There's no door, there's no ladder, you're just in a well. And it's I guess I'll just start hitting the walls with a stick.
Yep.
Oh, that worked? Oh, all right. It's moments where there's no hint as to what to do. It's up to you as the player to just try shit until it works.
Yeah, because I think I started doing that, not even thinking it was an actual thing.
Right.
And then it worked. So it's okay. It's that weird thing of you think you're doing something stupid, and like, there's no way this is it, but it ends up being it because it almost somehow like gets that psychological wise like you should do this, or like when a player gets here, they will do this. Like maybe they'll get frustrated if they just want to start hitting shit.
Yeah,
like,
I second guessed myself and actually reloaded my last save at that part. The first time I played it because I was like, I must have needed an item. But the good thing about games like this is they don't put you in a situation where you're just screwed.
Right.
Like, as you know, I mean, maybe you could get into a boss fight and you have low ammo. Maybe that can happen. I don't know. I've never had that happen. But you know, this isn't the kind of game that will just like be like, oh, you went down here and you shouldn't have. You're fucked.
It's great because it always gives you a way to figure out how to do it. And sometimes maybe not even hard, but you still get a really good satisfaction feeling of being like, I figured it out. Like, they didn't spoon feed it to me, they didn't have to like do this thing, I just figured it out.
Right, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a good sense of accomplishment.
Yes.
Especially when you have like a lock that, or like a box that has 4 locks on it, and there's just some hair inside.
Yes, it's so great. Like, I was like, I'm balding, I need some hair. Thank God I got this hair.
Yeah, James unfortunately has no hair.
No hair.
So it's a good thing that somebody locked up some hair for him.
He has some hair, but it's very, very short hair. James does not have long
Well, the problem is his hair is really weak.
Yeah, weak
so
hair.
if he was going to try to like say make a hook out of it, it would just snap. It wouldn't have worked.
Wouldn't work.
So luckily the hair he gets is like fucking strong.
Really, really strong hair.
Yeah.
Or 4 locks that were locked in that box.
Exactly. James doesn't use like Garnier or.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. I think I have some notes.
Okay. Hold on, everybody.
Sorry for the pause.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, here we go. Silent 2 hair. Oh yeah, here we go. I have one note. Fuck hair. So, I love that part.
Let's get that trending. Hashtag fuck hair. To all the 2 or 3 people watching this, get that trending on Twitter.
I did that. I made the joke to David, like, it's probably going to be like dumb shotgun ammo or something stupid.
Yeah.
It was worse than that. It was fucking hair.
Yeah, it was so funny when you said that, because that was one of those moments where it was like, I've already played this, I know what's in the box, and you're like, man, there's 4 locks on this box, it's going to be fucking shotgun shells, and I was just like, I don't want to laugh, because I don't want to, like, give away what is in there, so I had to just, like, be completely just still and, like, play it off like, oh, yeah, you know, maybe. But yeah, then you open it up and it's fucking hair.
So pissed.
But I will say, getting into the ending a little bit, because of how the ending works, essentially, you know, obviously, did we say we're spoiling the shit out of this? So if you haven't,
I figured.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I assume you know by now, but just to be clear, we're going to talk a little bit about the ending now. So you know, we kind of learned that like everything that James encounters in the town, aside from the other people, you know, is kind of James's own like version of what's happening. Like, so in terms of like, oh, he had to do this to get through this. He didn't have to. Like, that's because what the town was projecting onto James.
Right.
So the hair, like, you know, it wasn't like there was actually. It's not like somebody designed this town so that you had to have hair to get through a thing.
Right.
That's what the town was showing to James. You know, based on his own like history.
So
and
like
stuff.
the doctor and everything being like, we know what's in that box, or I found a creepy box.
Yeah, and maybe other people have different interpretations. My interpretation of that's what the town is creating for James to find.
Sure.
There wasn't actually a doctor that wrote that.
No. So is there significance to the hair, or is it just hair?
I'm sure there is. There's like a whole backstory for the hair or something. I don't know. But
where's that ending? I want the hair ending.
But so like when you walk up to a door and it's like the lock's broken, I can't go in. To me, the way I interpret that is the lock's not broken, but this town is only showing James the things he needs to see to move through it. So maybe there would be more doors open, or maybe there's actually people around. But James isn't seeing any of that because, I mean, he's seeing, you know, the other characters, but, you know, I mean, like, maybe this town's even more full. Or maybe this town isn't all foggy. But that's just what James is seeing. Because we know at least the monsters are unique to James.
Yeah.
Because when he talks to Laura, she's like, what? There's no monsters. And Eddie seems to be seeing monsters, but I'd be pretty sure those are different monsters.
Because when you meet, what's her name? Is it Amy or Amanda?
Angela.
Angela. When you meet Angela again, towards the end, you see the flames on there. And she's like, oh, you see it too now. So that's what she was seeing all the time.
Yeah, that's always what she sees in this town.
Not till later did James see it. So that's kind of thing of being like, you know, no one else is seeing those monsters but James.
Right, and we do see it, because James is somehow able to kind of tap into other people's. There's the room, I believe the boss is called Abstract Daddy.
I was actually going to ask about that.
Yeah, there's a room where you walk in and Angela's being attacked by this, like, fucked up looking thing, and the room is all, like, really fucking weird. Like, the walls are, like, fleshy, and there's these, like, sort of, like, sexual, like, things, like, pulsating on the walls. It's really weird. This is straight up, you are walking into one of the ways Angela sees the town.
Yeah.
And so this monster is one of Angela's monsters.
Okay.
This isn't one of James's monsters, because James' monsters are all specific to him. They're all kind of sexual, because he had all these urges for Mary, but she was sick and couldn't fulfill all that. So that's why the town gave him Maria, or he created Maria, or however that she came to be, who was like a super sexualized, flirtatious version of Mary. And so all the monsters he sees are in fucked up ways, like all sexual.
Right.
Which is interesting because they're scary ass monsters, but they all
yeah,
they have a sexual nature to them.
The dad one was something I was going to ask about because you do see that monster later on too in different ways in that the hotel. But I'm just assuming James saw those before, so it just makes sense he's recreating those monsters.
Exactly. Well, and also Angela's around somewhere too, because we see her later in the hotel. Yeah. But so Angela, as you can learn if you read a newspaper clipping, was horribly sexually abused by her dad, and I think her brother as well. It's been a while since I saw that fact, but so that's why the creature almost looks like it's a bed, it's a big flat kind of rectangle, and a weird figure pulsating kind of under it and walking around. So it's meant to kind of represent how she was sexually abused and raped and stuff. And I believe, again, it's been a little while since I saw this fact, but I believe she killed her dad and brother and then fled the town.
Yeah.
So now she's kind of coming back to look for her mom, and she's kind of being haunted by these things because she does still feel guilty for what she did to her dad and brother. A lot of times as people who are abused feel sympathy towards their abusers, even though their abusers are fucking fucked up people. Sometimes you get that sort of Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, they kind of blame themselves. Maybe it was my fault. I was getting abused. Not getting too heavy issues, but stuff like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like that's a lot what's going on with Angela's character. Where, all these characters are kind of, haunted by their demons, whatever they are. James obviously has this huge guilt over the fact that he's killed his wife, and he's kind of creating this stuff to punish him. Pyramid Head exists purely to punish James. Pyramid Head, in a way, is James, the executioner side, the side that James had to kill his wife. That's what Pyramid Head is. That's why he keeps killing Maria, because that's representative of what James felt when he killed his wife. Sort of this executioner, this killer. And I don't know what the pyramid part represents exactly, but that's there too.
Everything is building up on top of each other.
Right. And then you have Laura, who's in the town, and she doesn't see anything. The town seems fine to her because she's just an innocent little girl. She seems like a cunt when you're playing the game because she locks you in a room for monsters. But to be fair, she didn't know there were monsters in the room.
Yeah, that hotel probably wasn't creepy to her, probably.
Right. Because there's a scene where you walk in and she's literally sitting in the dark playing with dolls.
Yeah.
Sitting in the dark. And it's what the fuck? But then you realize, she probably wasn't sitting in the dark. That's just how I'm seeing Silent Hill through James. Sorry, we got cut off again. The camera keeps overheating. But anyways, I was just, to finish the thought, just in case it got cut off, we were saying, Laura doesn't see things the way James does. Really, nobody sees things the same. I'm not entirely sure exactly how James is tapping into other people's stuff. It's just a thing that they did. I don't. Yeah, I guess to expand more upon the characters. But anyways, that's one of the things I really like about this game is the way that it's very psychological. It's all about how everything in the game, for the most part, pretty much everything in the game is based on something a character is feeling or something that's happened to that character. Most of what Silent Hill is in this game is not just this is just how Silent Hill is.
Right.
It's because of all this other stuff, and that's something I think is lacking from the other games. There is a little bit of that. I guess I might spoil a couple things from the first game, but it's a PS1 game. I don't know if you want to play it.
I'll probably never play it.
Right, but in the first one, the other Silent Hill 1 and 3, which are the other ones I've gone through, are a lot about ancient gods and deities that rule over the town, and you worship dark gods or whatever. And in the first one, there's a lot of that, and the town is a lot of what you experience in the town is this girl named Alicia or something. It's been a while, so I know some people out there are going to be oh, he's getting it all wrong. Fuck you. Sorry. I like Silent Hill too. I'm not really that into the other ones, to be honest. But, it's kind of a more complicated storyline, and it's all about you're fighting these giant bugs because this girl was afraid of bugs or something, and she's imagining giant bugs. It's something like that.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm much more interested in this stuff is happening because of my character perceiving that.
Right.
I don't care about going and fighting a god or birthing a god or that stuff doesn't appeal to me. I know some people are more into that kind of Lovecraftian kind of stuff. To me, I like this simple. This doesn't. Sure, there is some lore in this game. You find little traces of it. Maybe there are deities in this or whatever. But I just like You don't understand what Silent Hill is. It's just a weird town that seems to be, psychologically creating stuff or physically manifesting stuff from people's memories. To me, that's all I need. I don't need like a big backstory about, well, it's doing that because of all this. No, it just is. That's creepier to me. That's kind of how I like to look at it. That's my headcanon, to use that cool term that's definitely not lame. Yeah, I don't know. I like this one because it's standalone. I'm not that invested in the other characters from the other games. I know a lot of people really like Silent Hill 3 the best. I think Silent Hill 3 is so good. I'm not saying the other games aren't good. They're still really fun. They're great to explore. There are some cool story stuff. But to me, this is the one that isn't just good to explore with some creepy stuff. To me, this is the one that, like, this story is amazing all on its own. It doesn't have to get too big and too ridiculous. It's really, I think, there's a lot more to study and talk about in this one. I couldn't do an analysis of Silent Hill 3 unless it was just me talking about things I liked and didn't like.
Sure.
There's so much to read into with the characters, and we're not even going to get close to how many things you could discuss. Like, there's theories out there that maybe none of the other characters in Silent Hill 2 even exist, that James is imagining all of them as well. Like, Eddie is him seeing another version of his, rageful side. And, Laura is, like, his childlike innocence. There's theories that, like that. There's tons of theories. Because this game is so open to that, and it's so ambiguous to that. And that's what I like about it, is you can kind of, like, look at it your own way. And you don't have to necessarily agree with how somebody else perceives it. To me, that's much more interesting, and that's really why I love this game as much as I do. It's great to explore and see the town, but to me, it's the fact that I can not play the game for 5 years and still be thinking about, what did Pyramid Head represent? I can still think about that.
Well, he was controlled by a dog.
That's true. If you, my headcanon is the dog ending.
That's my headcanon.
So forget all the other endings. That's another thing I want to talk about in this game. That obviously has been mentioned a lot, but the endings.
Yeah.
I talked about this with you, but I am in love with the way this game handles endings. Because I have a big problem with games that are very, like, black and white with endings. Mm-hmm. There's all these games that keep coming out that are like, look at all these different endings you can get, but they're so linear and black and white. Yes. It's literally go left or go right. There's literally ones like that. Like Far Cry 3. I'm gonna spoil the end of Far Cry 3. Don't worry, I'm saving you time because the ending of that game fucking sucks. Far Cry 3 is great, it's a fun game. Fucking worst ending ever. Literally, there's a part where this person has kidnapped your girlfriend, but you kind of like this person who's done it. And so it's like, you can stay with me on this island, but you have to kill your girlfriend. Or you can rescue your girlfriend and leave. It's literally kill your girlfriend or not kill your girlfriend. That's literally the options. And it's like, what a fucking dumb thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're just giving me this shitty choice. Like, I'm one of the few people that was a big fan of Beyond Two Souls. A lot of people hated that game. I liked it a lot. But even that game at the very end, I'm not going to spoil what happens, but at the very end, you've done all this stuff to make choices. And then even at the end, it's like, I've done a lot of things that have affected my life, but how should I do things now? And on screen, like, 4 options pop up, and it's like, pick one. And it's like, really?
Yeah, it's... Choices now have become where they don't want to upset the person, so they make it really, really obvious what you're picking.
Right.
And then you get to points like you're saying Far Cry 3, where the options is, be a bad guy, don't be a bad guy. Mm-hmm. It's just like, that's the option. Okay, that's stupid.
Yeah, that's not interesting to me.
No.
There are some games that are exceptions, but like, I'm even a big fan of the Telltale, like, Walking Dead games. I love those games. But even those are like such a bad thing of like, it's like, save person A, save person B, choose. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
What I love about Silent Hill 2 is there is never a part in the game where it's like, hey, there's multiple endings and, how you play will affect that.
Sure.
It never tells you that. There's never a choice. There's never an option. Even the first Metal Gear Solid is like, if you give into this torture, Meryl will die. And it's like, oh, okay, I see. But like in this one, it never tells you that. There's never a cue for that. And I mean, obviously, if you played the first Silent Hill, maybe you would realize that. Or, maybe now if you're playing it. Also, if you watch this video, obviously you realize it now. But a lot of people played Silent Hill 2 and didn't even know that there were other options to endings.
Yeah.
They'd talk about that later and figure that out. All right, sorry everybody, we got cut off again. But as I was saying, like, and obviously I'm sure anybody watching this is familiar with how the ending system works. Mm-hmm. But I love that it is like, depending on how you play the game, it affects your ending. But again, it doesn't tell you that. There's no on-screen prompts that tell you that. It's just like, you could get the ending and not even understand how you got it. But I love that it's like, did you spend a lot of time with Maria as a character? Like, did you seem to care about her? Well, you get the Maria ending. Did you, like, keep your health really low and make a lot of, like, risky choices throughout the game? Well, you get the suicide ending. Like, that's so smart and clever. And it sucks to me that, like, obviously Silent Hill 2 is a well-known game. It's got a lot of fans. It's got a huge cult following. but it wasn't like a blockbuster. It's not like Resident Evil. And so because of that, I think, and because none of the other Silent Hill games ever did it, I mean, they did have multiple endings, but it wasn't, I think, so, like, expansive as this. Most of the other games were like, did you pick up this vial and use it here? And this one doesn't do that, at least for the three main endings. It does do that for, like, the bonus endings, but for the three main endings, it is totally, like, organically created by the choices you make in the game. Whereas the other ones are much more like, do this, step 1, step 2, step 3, you get the good ending. I don't like that. I like this like organic nature to it. Me too.
Because I didn't even really think about it. Because I guess I knew there were multiple endings, but I didn't realize that the picking those was just like... I thought since it was my first playthrough, I was just going to get the standard generic ending. I didn't realize like after I got the results screen, it was like, ending you got. Like this one. It's like, oh, crap, okay.
Yeah, there's never a moment where you get to choose that. Obviously, if you know like the little things that affect that, you can strive for a certain ending. But I love that the first time you play it, you're not going to be doing that. But like I was saying, like because Silent Hill 2, even though it's beloved, wasn't as big, I don't think other games were ever inspired by that, which sucks because there's so many games that promise that now, like tons of different endings, a story unique to you, but they're really not. Like you're still kind of getting the same thing no matter what.
Yeah, it's really dumb.
Yeah, especially there's ones that, and I won't spoil what happens, but like in like Telltale games especially, it'll be like, oh, you can save this person or let them die. Maybe you hate them, maybe you want them to die. And it's like, no, I'm going to save them, I'm going to be a good guy, but then they'll die in the next scene. And it's like, well then...
What was the point?
Why did you put that choice in there? Clearly, like as a writer, you just didn't want to write more for that character, and so you just didn't. You just wrote like one tiny scene with them extra where they just die in the next one. To me, that's not like the butterfly effect of endings or whatever. No. Like the Until Dawn promises, like look at all these branches your story can go, and it's literally just like
that has the butterfly effect things. Like I don't know why games keep trying to promise that. They don't have it. It doesn't exist.
It does not. It literally does not exist. I think this is honestly, as far as I know, Silent Hill 2 is probably the best version of that kind of like ending thing because it is not tracked by some like.
And I
dumb
feel like
system.
even in this one, there's really not even still a butterfly effect thing too.
No, it's not because you still play through the entire game.
Yeah.
Regular. It's not until the ending.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, I want a game where it's like, did you choose left or right? Well, left goes to the city and right goes to space.
Yeah.
Like I want something that's like, whoa, what did you get on your playthrough? Oh, I became a military commander and nuked a country. What did you do? Oh, you did that? I went underwater exploring and found Atlantis. Like, imagine a game where that's where your paths can go.
Right.
And it's not just in the last ending. It's the whole game that is like constantly changing.
Too about the ending thing it's just not like you're not even picking anything per se.
Yes.
It's literally we're going to give you an ending based on how you like to play the game.
Right.
That's awesome. Because if you're someone who liked Maria, hung out with Maria, they're like instead of being like try and do this to choose this Maria ending or whatever, you just get that ending.
Yes.
Or if you're like. It's like, let's say you like playing with, like, handguns or something. You get kind of crazy endings, something that has something just like... I like games that have the endings being like, you're not picking it, we're kind of picking it for you.
Yeah.
But because we recognize how you play, we're picking what we know you would probably like, or what you would like to pick.
Right.
Because that's how you play the game.
What I think is cool, too, is like... And maybe, there are only 3 main endings you can get that way. People might be like, well, that'd be cooler if there was more. But I think the reason there's 3 is because all of them feel like real endings. Yeah. It's not like you get one of those 3 and be like, well, that was a lame ending. All of them are good. No matter which one you get, it's a cool ending. Like the Maria ending, it sounds lame. It's like, oh, you leave with Maria. But then she starts coughing just like Mary did, and it's like, oh, shit, that's a dark ending. There's like the happy ending, the leave ending with Laura. And, you get like a little bit more of an optimistic thing. And then there's the suicide ending. Like all of them feel real and fully realized. None of them feel like, let's tack this on. Obviously, there's the joke endings, which is a whole different thing. But, again, you can't get those on your first playthrough anyways.
Because like you said, that they all feel super, like, your options are... James gives in to what he really wants to desire by taking Maria and like going with his lust and like saying fuck it.
Yeah.
Or he
gives in to the weight of what he's done.
Yeah. He's like I really do love Maria, or I love Mary the whole time and stuff like that. I can't live without her. Or he's just like, okay, this is what she would want. She wanted me to like, kind of get on and kind of move on with my life.
Yeah, all of them are very appropriate to the character and like totally work.
They're all the three possibilities a real person in real life could possibly have.
Exactly. Yeah. And then there's like the crazy ending where it's like, I'm going to bring Mary back.
Yes.
And it's like, that one's like, that's the real like Silent Hill-ish ending because it's like, it goes more into like that dark lore of the town or whatever. But even that's a cool ending on its own.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the joke endings, which are hilarious.
Yep.
The dog ending is my favorite thing.
That's really great.
Ever out of anything. It's fucking amazingly good. And the UFO ending is funny as well, but that dog ending, man.
It's too good.
That's something special.
The credits are just too good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I think more people really do that. Why happen to joke endings? Let's go.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Is like not only joke endings, but like New Game Plus stuff. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you played the game again? Now you get a chainsaw. Oh, you played the game again? You got a good ranking? Now you get this, like, spray stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I want, like, goofy items. Actually, that's one thing that Silent Hill 3 does better than Silent Hill 2. You get, like, dumb costumes. You get, like a magic girl costume for your character,
really?
and you can get a lightsaber to fight with.
That's awesome.
Where is all that in games now?
Oh yeah, I do remember seeing the magic because I think I saw Silent Hill 3 speedrun. Did you speedrun recently?
I don't know, maybe.
Because I think I remember seeing that. Yeah,
Okay.
they did that.
But yeah, I love that kind of shit. And the Resident Evil games are always good about that too. Like, now you get this dumbass costume, and you get, like, this gun with infinite ammo.
Yeah, exactly. Because
I miss that stuff.
You got the serious story, you got the story when you're told.
Yeah.
Let's just have crazy fun.
Exactly. Like, the first time I play through, sure, let's keep it simple, let's keep it straight.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, I'm just going to play through again just to have fun this time. I already got all the scares, I already got all the surprises. Now I'm just going to fuck around. Okay, cool, you want to fuck around? Here's some stuff to fuck around with.
Right.
Like, more games really need to be doing that
yeah.
now. And some games will be like, well, maybe that's DLC. Okay, cool. But, like, I like the idea that a game is so good, when I finish it, I'm going to play it again and have even more fun.
Yeah.
I don't know when the last time I did that for a new game was.
I don't know, I haven't either. Because it's like getting to play the game all over again.
Exactly.
It's just the purpose, it's the full purpose of a video game, just to have fun.
Right.
It's like, just you want to keep having fun with this video game? Keep fucking having fun with this video game.
Right, and what's cool about it is it lets the game, if the game wants to be serious, you still get that first playthrough where it is.
Right.
But then it doesn't deny you getting to replay and have fun.
Right. Because that's something I was really hoping for, not to go on like too much of a side tangent, for the new Metal Gear game. I wanted that thing where after I beat it, there was just a bunch of random bullcrap I could do just to have fun.
Right, and I mean,
feel
you
like
can keep replaying the old missions, and you can upgrade and get some, like, cool, funny
But it
new
feels like I have
weapons.
to grind way too much to get those fun.
Right, yeah, it feels like after you get to a certain point, it should just give you everything and be
Exactly.
like, here you go, here's some crazy shit. And it's fine if there's a few things that are hard to work for.
Right.
There's in video games, there's always been one that's like, you have to get a 10-star ranking, or you have to, like, beat the game in this much amount of time. There's always, like, some items that are hard. Like in Metal Gear Solid 3, if you want the stealth camo, you have to beat the entire game without getting any alerts.
Right.
That's hard to work for. But there's also ones that gives you right away. It's like, hey, you just beat the game, here's a machine gun with infinite ammo.
Yeah.
Like, stuff like that that's just like, we know you just want to fuck around.
But for this
so
one, you
here
have
go.
to work to get, like, all that stuff. You have to work, like, for all of
Right.
it. Not even one of it do you just get.
Yeah, and that's, a lot of people, like, don't like to go back and play older games, but I think that's some of the magic of playing them is
Yeah.
there were certain things people were doing that were, at the time, a little more out there, but were great, and were so, like,
Right.
fun, and, like, Silent Hill 2 has, despite, like, being a
And
good, serious game, it has so many elements that are just good to play it again and again.
And I'm wondering if, because video games are becoming such a bigger thing now maybe studios have more pressure to not do those crazy things.
Right, well, also,
Or if things
here's
are
part of the
getting-
problem, is a lot of studios have, like, a very specific time window.
Sure.
They don't have time to add all this extra shit
Right,
because
right.
it's like your game has to be out by this time.
Exactly, that's
and
kinda
that's why I mean you want to talk about like we're not getting extra stuff. We're not even getting finished games.
Right.
Games are coming out that are
No,
like
no.
totally
No,
unfinished.
yep.
Like even Metal Gear like didn't have the last chapter in it, and maybe that wasn't because of time. We don't entirely know why that was. But there's other games that come out broken. And like I mean, every Assassin's Creed in the last like 5 years has come out like totally fucked up,
Yep.
and everybody's still excited for the new one. Hey, guess what? It's gonna come out and it's gonna be fucked up.
Guarantee it.
And everyone's gonna be like, how did this happen? I'll tell you how it happened. It happened the same way it happened the last few years. They had 1 year to complete this big ass game, and they weren't able to pull it off.
Because, like, you gotta think
Battlefield
about,
and
too,
Call
is,
of
like-
Duties are all broken.
They have 1 year to complete that game. Meanwhile, all during con season, which is still pretty early in the year, they're having to show that game off several times for progress.
Yes.
So they are super rushed. There's no way there's no way those games, and not because they're a horrible studio, just the
yeah.
expectation.
I mean,
they got set
Assassin's
for the
Creed,
studio.
like they have a ton of people working on them.
Yeah.
But it's just not enough time. And
Exactly.
when you have more time to be more intimate with your game and or anything you create,
Right.
movies or whatever, you have more time to make extra stuff.
Because back then too, not only did they have more time, but asset creating stuff probably wasn't as time consuming and space consuming as it would be to do now.
Right.
Because things are just so much better looking stuff. It would
Right.
probably take so much space to add extra endings and to add some of this extra crazy stuff. It
Exactly.
would probably be so time consuming and like space consuming.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, if you know you're going to make the money anyways,
Yeah,
why
why
bother? But I mean, even that happens with movies now. A lot of movies have less special features now because most of them, first of all, are downloaded digitally or watched
Right.
on Netflix. So there's no point in making special features. There's no point in going the extra mile and adding in all this other stuff because the finished product isn't going to need that to come out and be released.
Mhm.
And most people aren't even going to, notice that that's gone. It's
Right.
people like us who are like hardcore fans of that stuff that like really feel that's gone.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons I like my favorite video games are all older video games because, and they're not that old. Silent Hill 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, like stuff like that's not that old, but it's old enough to where it was in this area of time in gaming where we were still like having all this crazy shit hidden in
Mhm.
there. And I'm not talking about like a couple little Easter eggs. I'm talking about big stuff that would change the way you would play the game on replays.
It was the point where you knew it was going to be a while before you knew that there was going to be a while before the next installment ever come out.
Right.
If there was going to be one, but also it was still during the time period where people weren't buying a new video game like once a month or every week or stuff like that.
That's
people
true.
were playing the same game over again.
Yeah.
So like they really had time to be like, all right, we really want you to get your money's worth out of it because we know this might be the only game you're playing for a really long time. So they add all this bonus stuff for you to do, which is great. Like people don't do it. People just now it's almost like it's just such a throwaway thing where it's just like, all right, we know you're gonna be playing this for a little bit, then you're throwing it away.
It's fast food.
Yeah, it's really fast
you're
food.
gonna eat this and move on.
Yeah.
It's not like you're gonna enjoy this so much you're gonna come back later. It's just like you do this because it's like a thing you need to do temporarily to get your fix, and then you move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
It's it's pop music. It's not what it used to be.
Yeah.
But anyways, this video is going on a while, so let's wrap it up. Anything else? Any closing thoughts on Silent Hill we haven't discussed? Obviously, there's a million more things we can talk about. Super big game as far as like all the levels of stuff. All right, sorry we got cut off. I was gonna say I really like the sound design of this game. I love the music. I love all the sound effects.
So fucking good.
It's all just so well done, and like a lot of other stuff in this game is really great and still holds up well. But I think the sound is probably my favorite thing, and I'm really big on like. Hang on, I got a burp here. Never mind, it didn't come. I'm really big on like good atmospheres in games, and man, the atmosphere in this game is like,
really
and that's mostly sound design. Obviously, like visuals play a lot into that as well, but I just think the sound design just creates this world. Like you could just close your eyes and just hear the music and get a feel for what you're gonna see.
I'm
when
playing
you open
the song in my head the entire time.
yeah, I'd love, man. There's so many like old stuff getting released on vinyl. If this soundtrack gets released on vinyl, I'll pay like $100 for it. I want that so bad. Anyways, I did say one more thing I want to talk about. We did say we were going to go a little bit into the HD collection.
Right.
So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. We're going to get some hate. We played the HD collection. That's the version we played. Just because I don't have a PS2 version of Silent Hill, and how are you going to get one of those easily now?
Yeah.
You're not. And, I'd love to play the original version, but we didn't. And to be completely honest, I've actually never had any problems with the HD collection. Until we played it this time, and we had a fucking lot of problems. I've always kind of defended the HD collection and been like, man, it's okay. Like there's a few like frame rate issues, and some of the stuff looks a little weird, but man, it's fine. Like, I never had a problem with it. I never had any bugs. I never had any glitches. I never had any weird stuff. And also, since I'm not familiar with the original version, if there was a few little things that were changed, I know that's some of the issues. Like maybe some lines were changed, or some of the like little stuff was changed. I didn't notice that, and I totally understand why people would be mad about it. It's the same thing to me as like Darth Vader yelling no in Star Wars.
Right.
To a lot of people, it's like, what's the big deal? But it's like, no, artistically, that's not how it happened.
Right.
And it shouldn't. Or like when Luke Skywalker like lets go in Empire Strikes Back and falls in Cloud City, in the special edition they made him yell when he did that, and that totally changes the dynamic because in the original he's saying like, "Fuck you, Darth Vader, I'm dead. I'm gonna kill myself." And in the special edition he's like scared that he's gonna jump. That totally changes that character moment. So I totally understand when people complain about those little artistic changes. I get that. But again, I'm not familiar enough with the original Silent Hill 2 PS2 version to notice that, so that hasn't been a big factor for me. But I've never had the bugs. How many times did we have bugs on this one? And like game-ending bugs, too.
The black screen thing, I think, happened to me at least
so
3 times.
in case you're not familiar, there's a bug where you'll walk through a door and you do not load into the world. You load outside of the world into a gigantic black room where there is no door, there is nothing, you'll just run around in darkness.
I had that one happen to me, I think, 3 times, and I think the first time was when I got the clone one, where like all of a sudden there's a different James. Like repeating all the things you're doing.
Which happens if you're next to a mirror. But, I mean, that happened for you, and you hadn't, like, saved since the beginning.
Yeah.
So the first time it happened, so it was like, really quickly, luckily I had a save that was pretty close to where you were, so we just loaded that up. But then other times, like, after a point it was like, we just had to, keep saving regularly to make sure that progress
didn't get lost. Yeah, because this is the point in the hotel where I got really, really close. I was like, almost to like the end of it. I was getting really, really close.
Yeah, there was one night where we were like, we're going to finish it tonight, and you were so close to getting to the end.
Close.
And then you loaded it into a black room, and I was like, well, we're done for the night.
Yeah, and I hadn't saved since...
Since the dock.
Since Eddie,
Since before the dock.
And I swore I thought I saved, apparently I didn't. So, I mean, I guess it's my fault because I didn't save, but I thought I had. But yeah, it's just like, it sucks. It ruins it. Really takes you out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is especially because like Silent Hill 2 is such an immersive experience.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, it doesn't have a HUD. There's not all these button things. So to have something that pulls you out of it that hard really sucks. So yeah, I can't really recommend the HD collection. obviously, I mean, that people know about the HD collection.
Sure.
I think, if you cannot find any other way to play Silent Hill 2, it's pretty cheap now. You can get it for like $20,
Yeah.
and it has Silent Hill 3 as well, although that only does have new voices. If as long as you save pretty frequently,
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you save
there's going to be a few points where you'll be mad at it, but
if you
it's-
save
it's
frequently
doable.
and you know what you're doing, it's not that big of a deal.
right,
You usually
yeah.
get back to where you're at pretty quickly.
But if you can find an original copy, absolutely do that.
Sure.
But the thing is, too, like, I don't have my PS2 here. We just moved to a new state. I don't have my PS2. Everything else I have, I've been able to transfer over to PS3 or your other stuff, I don't want to have to bring my PS2 for one game, even if I did have Silent Hill 2. That being said, if you want to send me a copy, go ahead. I'll frame it on my wall. But, I think if you have to play this game, which you should if you haven't, and there's no other version you can get, with caution, go ahead and get the HD collection. But yeah, I think most people know about that, so we're not going to go too much more into that. But it definitely was frustrating when moments, because even after you played it, I like to speedrun Silent Hill 2. I was going to do a quick speedrun so you could see all the new voice acting, and I totally had that glitch happen on me, and I've never had that happen on me before. So I don't know if maybe somehow my version got fucked up when it was fine before, but
Yeah.
somehow we've been having that glitch a lot. So that's unfortunate. But anyways, HD collection aside, Silent Hill 2, maybe my favorite video game, but I think we can both agree one of the best video games ever
Well,
made.
it was really good.
Incredible.
Really great
super-
PlayStation 2 era video game.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing. Definitely up there on the classics for that.
Right.
Which is a lot of classics there at that time. Too.
Oh, absolutely. And also, I think just like, obviously, people in the community, Silent Hill 2 community, fan community, know how good it is. The people that love it, love it. But this is kind of an underrated game. A lot of people missed this one, didn't play it. Again, I mentioned Resident Evil. This was never as big as Resident Evil was. Silent Hill's always been quite a bit more niche,
Sure.
which is too bad. Especially because, it's funny to me because they were going to do Silent Hills with Kojima, which I was excited about because I mentioned I like Snake Eater and I like Silent Hill 2. Those are my two favorite video games of all time. So the idea of the guy who made one of those making the sequel to another one, blew my mind. I was like,
And it would
fuck
have been
yes.
such a good homage to the specific things because Kojima's really good at that.
Right.
You can tell playing Silent Hill 2 and playing PT. You can tell he has those
Absolutely.
those feelings.
And also, I mentioned Silent Hill had those Metal Gear moments where
Right.
you don't know what to do next. Kojima is the guy who made Metal Gear, so who's going to do those moments better than him?
Yeah.
And yeah, PT was so amazing. And it's funny because somebody brought this up the other day, but supposedly one of the reasons Konami isn't going to do Silent Hills is probably it's not going to make enough money or lack of interest or whatever. By doing that, it's the Streisand effect. They canceled it, and now everybody wants it more than ever.
Yeah.
So either they're brilliant and they're going to release it and be like, hey, everybody said you want it, and they'll sell 1 million copies, or they're fucking idiots, which is probably the case, and they're literally just going to bury that game, which everybody's talking about still and will be for years, because it's always going to be the game that could have been.
Yeah, exactly. Someone made that comment. It's brilliant. It is going to be. We're in that time period where that's the game that's always going to be talking about.
Absolutely.
The game that could have been.
We're
There'll
gonna
be articles for years.
There will be articles.
The game that could have
At
been.
some point, there will be video specials of what happened with Silent Hills, and you'll have the image of Norman Reedus. It's going to be this huge thing. And if Konami was smart, they would just develop a good game and release it and make a shit ton of money. I mean, I even said this to you, but and I'm sure a lot of other people have said this, because you can't get PT anymore.
No.
But it's done. It's a finished product. If Konami just put PT back on the market and said, God damn it.
I was going to have to. It's like, we're going.
All right, well, hey, audio's still rolling. Our video card got full again. All of our video cards are full, so just listen to our audio for a second. We'll close out. If Konami released PT for $15, who wouldn't buy that?
Yeah.
They could release a game they already released for free and make $1 million, because who's not going to buy PT?
Yeah. Anybody who lost PT, who played it, won it. Anybody who didn't get a chance to get it, because they haven't played it before yet, will get it. It will absolutely sell.
Yeah, I mean, no one's going to be happy they have to pay for a game that was free. But I don't own it. I would buy it.
I would love knowing I could buy it because I could upgrade my hard drive now.
Right. You wouldn't have to worry about it.
Anything. Yeah.
Because now, if anything happens to your PS4, PT's gone.
Yeah. Because when we moved here and I plugged in and I had that whole
Oh,
storage
right.
system like that, I wasn't gonna paint it because I was I don't care about my save files. I don't want to fucking lose PT.
Right. But anyways, again, nobody likes looking at a black screen. Maybe I'll play some kind of I'll play the dog ending while we talk.
Yeah.
But we're going to end it. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. We'd love to hear from everybody watching. I know the Silent Hill 2 community is pretty active, even though it's a smaller community. So let us know what you think about all of our stuff. Make fun of us for playing the HD collection. Give us some hate for that. Do that in the comments below, or you can email us at thewetrats@gmail.com. And also, if you like horror movies as well, be sure to join us for our 13 Days of Halloween special, which is going on right now as you're watching this. So you can check those out on our channel as well. and goodbye.
Bye.